Hi there, so just as you can see a couple of hours ago, GPT-5.1 has started to be released, and it says here that it's rolling out to all users this week. Unfortunately, I already have access to GPT 5.1. So in this video, I wanna be checking it out, seeing if there is actually any real difference in terms of Godot development, which are my first impressions, etc. And as you can see, the main claim here is that it is a smarter, more conversational chat GPT. Okay, but let's come here to their official OpenAI account and start to see from scratch. First of all, GPT-5, so the previous version, okay, GPT-5, not GPT 5.1, which is the newest, will remain available to paid subscribers for 3 months. So we'll have it November, December, and January 2026, and then it will probably just be deprecated. And the thing that's mentioned here is that the GPT-5 sunset period does not affect the availability of other legacy models. So in reality, if we go over here, you will see that now in legacy models, at least me myself have the two previous models, instant and thinking, because now Auto will probably just choose between GPT 5.1 instant or thinking, and we have the previous GPT 4.0, okay, that used to be here as well. And also something interesting is that remember that in paid plans, okay, well, I don't have it here because I'm not a part of the Pro plan, but in the Pro subscription, okay, what you have access is even to a more advanced model, which is basically called GPT-5 Pro, GPT 5.1 Pro, okay, which I don't have access to right now because I am not part of that plan. So let's take a look at the newest feature. Today we are upgrading the GPT-5 series with the release of GPT 5.1 Instant and GPT 5.1 Thinking. So this is the not something that is different from what used to be. So what I really want to focus is just as context, okay? One of the biggest things, okay, that GPT-5 brought is the fact that previously we used to have a lot of models like, I don't know, 4.0, 4.0 Pro, I don't know, 4 like normal, 4 high mini, 4 high, I don't really remember all those names, but we previously used to have all these in GPT-4. So what people wouldn't be able to understand is, okay, when do I use each model of GPT? It was like super complicated to understand, okay? So what happened in GPT-5 is that they made this simpler. So they just created GPT-5 Thinking and GPT-5 Instant, okay? And then this thinking mode, they made it into 2 separated models, okay? They made it to standard thinking and extended thinking. Once again, what is the idea of this? That you don't have anymore to be selecting and, let's say, guessing which one to use. GPT-5, okay, you want something deeper, more complex, use thinking. That was the first version. Or if you want something a little bit faster, instant. So what was brought maybe like 1 month, 2 months ago, something like that, is that thinking. What happened is that for things that were complex but not that complex, it will still take a lot of time. So that's why they introduced standard thinking and extended thinking. So now let's say that the hierarchy, and this is the same thing with GPT 5.1, that's why I'm actually explaining this, is that, okay, the model that takes the most time and will give you the best answer is extended thinking, if it is available, which we're gonna be checking. Then the one that comes before that is standard thinking. And the one that, let's say, thinks the least is instant. So that is the same structure for GPT-5 and GPT 5.1. It's the exact same thing, okay? It's super important for you to understand this. And in reality, we can just check it out over here. We have GPT 5.1. Auto decides how long to think. So it will basically decide between instant and thinking. And when you select thinking, you have standard thinking and extended thinking, okay? So based on this information, you will choose which is the best mode for you. And as you can see, it follows the exact same structure in GPT 5.1. So it basically says here, in instant, our most used model, now warmer, more intelligent, and better at following your instructions. Cutting to the chase, better, okay? Improvements, general improvements. 5.1 thinking, advanced reasoning model, once again, easier to understand and faster on simple tasks, more persistent on complex ones. So this is something actually pretty interesting, because even though they had to introduce this standard thinking, because thinking would literally take, I know, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes to answer, let's say, relatively easy questions or to solve relatively easy problems, it would take a lot of time. That's why they introduced a standard. And while standard did reduce a lot those that excessive thinking, it is still not perfect. Okay, so it seems that they have now been able to make it faster on simpler tasks. Okay, so that's something very, very important, and even more persistent on complex ones. So usually when you use any kind of extended thinking mode, for example, or even the base thinking model, I mean, you usually start iterating a lot on that conversation. Okay, you basically talk a lot with the AI, so you want to do multiple iterations. So now it's gonna actually be able to persist the context of those conversations. Here, something else. We heard clearly from users that great AI should not only be smart, but also enjoyable to talk to. GPT 5.1 improves meaningfully on both intelligence and communication style. And talking about communication style, this is something that people really love. I don't personally really care about it, but a lot of people do care. Is the fact that now you have 8 unique chat styles in GPT. This means that you can select like the tone of your conversation based on whatever you like. So you can just go here, personalization, and here you have the base style and tone. Okay, and each one has your own one. Okay, it's basically that, and you can even set some custom instructions about additional behavior, style, and tone preferences. So you can kind of customize it even further. Okay, so once again, that's something I believe just a small detail, but it's something that people seem to be very interested in. So now in GPT 5.1 instant, okay, it says that it is the ChatGPT most used model. That really surprises me a lot. I personally don't use a lot instant. I really use thinking, but well, it is what it is, I believe. The key thing is that it's now warmer by default and more conversational. What exactly do they mean by conversational? I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's like sounds more like as if you were talking to a human. Okay, it's not that robotic. This means that it may do some jokes or something like that. So we have GPT 5 answer to I'm feeling stressed and could use some relaxation tips. And for example, I watch you run with GPT 5.1. Okay, I watch you run. That's totally normal, especially with everything you've got going on lastly. So it's way more sympathetic, okay, than just this. Here are a few simple effective ways to help his stress. You can mix and match depending on how they're feeling. Okay, it's super like robotic. This tries to be a little more sympathetic, so that's pretty interesting how they're trying to do it. And of course, the answer itself is a little bit more elaborated. Because here it's still okay. If your mind feels scattered, you can do these things. But here just okay. Do you have these strategies? It doesn't matter, or it's not considering exactly how you feel. It just drops you the answer. Okay. So once again, it is something very, very interesting. And in reality here, if you tell me what kind of stress it is, work, parenting, financial, emotional, physical, etc., I can tailor a set of techniques or even a mini daily plan to match your situation. But actually here, this GPT 5.1 instance has been able to understand that in the very first try. And once again, what I really want to focus is on this, because AI is becoming more personal, more sympathetic, okay? And that's something that as soon as these things started to be released, people said, AI will never understand me, AI will never be able to have feelings, AI will never be able to actually make me feel something. Because when I read this, I do think or feel that, let's say, somebody or something actually cares about me, okay? It's not, of course, literal, okay? It's just a way of understanding this. And this is also, once again, a huge improvement. They've also improved instruction following, so the model more reliably answers the question you actually asked. Always respond with 6 words. And here, ChatGPT, you told it, okay, answer in 6 words, and I don't know why, 6 words, like not 6 words, and maybe here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, but not here in the first one. Okay, and here it is, understood, I will respond in 6, and here we have 6 words only. Okay, so that's also pretty interesting. And usually for those kind of complex instructions, you previously had to use thinking mode. That's why I was always using thinking mode. And also something very interesting. Let's say that you have selected here instant because you thought that what you asked was simple. For the first time, GPT 5.1 instance can use adaptive reasoning to decide when to think before responding to more challenging questions, resulting in more thorough and accurate answers while still responding quickly. So this means that this previous structure that we used to have, of course, the ones that are at the top are the ones that will give you the best answer, but you will have to wait the most. Let's say that between standard thinking and instant thinking, we could have another subcategory which could be instant thinking. Okay, so this is also, as you can see, pretty interesting. Okay, and this is done, at least right now, completely automatically. Okay, now let's come to actually what I think is the actual best model, GPT 5.1 thinking. We are also upgrading GPT-5 thinking to make it more efficient and easier to understand in everyday use. It now adapts its thinking time more precisely to the question, super key here, and something super requested, spending more time on complex problems while responding more quickly to simpler ones. That is amazing, okay, and I really hope that while I'm using it, it actually does. In practice, that means more thorough answers for difficult requests and less waiting for simpler ones. That's amazing. Now, more things. GPT 5.1 thinking responses are also clearer, with less jargon and fewer undefined terms, so they're gonna be a little bit more accurate. For example, when you want to get explained some more technical concepts, as you can, for example, compare in these two answers over here. More things, once again, they are really focusing it on being more sympathetic, on being warmer, on being more friendly, on actually converting, let's say, closer to a friend or a family member, as you can see over here. So, I spilled coffee all over myself before my meeting. Do you think everyone thought was an idiot? GPT-5, oh, that's such a gut punch feeling. I'm really sorry what happened. Short answer, no, most people, well, the answer was still like pretty good. But in GPT 5.1 thing, it's even better. Hey, no, they didn't. You're rattled, so your brain is doing that thing where it catastrophizes a tiny mishap into character flow. But honestly, people barely register this stuff. Everyone's sprinting between calls, half distracted, juggling their own chaos. A coffee spill reads as a busy human, not idiot. So while they do keep a similar tone, the content itself is way better. This, let's say, if you read this, okay, or if somebody told you this, it wouldn't sound as human as this is. This would be something like perfectly that, I don't know, a family member could tell you when you have a problem, a friend, a couple, whoever it is. And once again, this is the same explanation that I was giving you. This release is a step forward in both capability and usability across models. GPT 5.1's Auto, which is this one, okay, over here, which choose instant or thinking, and basically you don't have to decide anything, it just does everything for you, will continue to route each query to the model best suited for it, exactly what I've just told you. So in most cases, you won't need to choose a model at all. That's really good. What you will notice is that answers across GPT 5.1 feel both smarter and more natural in tone. Now, more information. GPT 5.1's instant and thinking begin rolling out today. Basically, it was yesterday night, at least where I am, starting with paid, pro, plus, go, and business, and then go to free and logged out users, okay, probably within 1 week. Enterprise and Edu plans get a 7-day early access toggle off by default. After that window, GPT 5.1 will become the sole default model. So maybe we still have them here as legacy models, probably, as we have it here in as Mia, I'm part of a plus plan, but that is it. And here's the key thing: if you check out ChatGPT today, you may not see GPT 5.1 available immediately. Fortunately, as soon as I saw the tweet, I entered to my ChatGPT account and I was available to use GPT 5.1. Maybe because I use it a lot, so I had it. We plan to roll it gradually over the next few days to help keep performance stable for everyone. We will also have the GPT, well, the same thing that we read, that they will also upgrade it to the Pro plan soon. And the exact same thing I mentioned before, GPT-5 Instant and Thinking will remain available in ChatGPT under the Legacy Models dropdown, basically over here, as it is. Literally, I think that the UI in this case, at least for me, not gonna change a lot. And here in the post, they also go a little bit deeper into making ChatGPT uniquely yours with this personalization they've introduced, okay? And here's the important thing, remember, not only can you select like a template, okay, but also over here you can integrate custom instructions. No, chatty, witty, straight shooting, encouraging, Gen Z, whatever you want, you can put it here. So about this, they are saying we are also experimenting with the ability to tune ChatGPT's characteristics directly from personalization settings, including how concise, warm, or scannable its responses are, and how frequently it uses emojis. ChatGPT can also proactively offer to update these preferences during conversation when it notices you asking for a certain tone or style. So sometimes maybe you feel that it's not being so direct. Maybe you use it a lot for talking about your mental health, for example, for your fitness health, for your business. Like you want to have a coach that helps you decide, okay, what is the best move for your business, and you feel maybe it's not that let's say not that efficient or not that direct. It's maybe too warm. You can tell, okay, cut to the chase. Tell me things as they are. Once again, that's a lot, okay? Without requiring you to navigate into settings, you're gonna just remove any of these preferences at any time. And once again, here as a closing point, let's say what's next. Today's GPT-5.1 updates and new customization options are a step toward a ChatGPT that, and this is the key thing here, that feels like it fits you, smarter, more enjoyable to talk to, and more adaptable to your preferences. Okay, that's super interesting. Going forward, we'll continue improving along these dimensions. There's much more to come. Okay, so once again, let's take a look at ChatGPT 1 year ago, 2 years ago. I don't even remember if it existed 2 years ago. I can't really remember, but it wasn't that popular, at least. It's amazing. Okay, it's really amazing. So where are we gonna be in 13 November 2026? How much customization we're gonna be having? How much could ChatGPT actually replace humans in a lot of things? Okay, it's really, really interesting. Now let's switch completely the focus of the video right now, and let's talk a little bit about Godot. Okay, we're gonna then do a deeper test on this, but let me just create here a super simple project, and I just want to as you can see, they made a lot of focus on thinking a lot or thinking less depending on the complexity of the problem. So I will switch to auto mode, and I will tell it to write a Godot code to make a 2D object move with WASD. This shouldn't use any kind of thinking mode at all. It should be able to do it at the first try, super easy. Something that it does not have yet is syntax highlighting for this script. And here the code, once again, is not good, okay? There are way better ways to do it, okay? This was done maybe 1 year ago or something like that. I don't really remember. But right now there are way better ways of not having to check for every single input. What you have to do is use input.getVector, and while that is generated, which once again there it is, as you can see here, it says let's upgrade to the grown-up version so you don't have to actually poke blah blah blah. Here's the clean code for script using input.getVector. This is the actual answer it should have given us. What I'll try to do is generate this answer switching to thinking mode, okay? And let's see if it would have been able to generate it, okay? But once again, let's also check how much time it takes to think, okay, and to also generate the answer. In the meantime, I'm gonna do stuff very simple. This is probably gonna be using a character body, a collision, or well, we don't actually even need a collision, just a sprite. I just want to have a player that moves around, and I'm gonna put it right over here. No template, and so you can see it is still thinking. And the only thing I ask this GPT is to write a Godot code to make a 2D object move with WASD. So imagine if we were actually in a super complex project, we wanted to create something very big, like ChatGPT and in general AIs, okay? There are just maybe 1 or 2 super specific AIs that are very good at Godot, or not very good, but better. So that's really something that, unfortunately, these AIs are not really focused on. Why is that? Once again, game development is one of the things that can be done with AI. But as it is already working very well with mostly all languages besides Godot, besides JavaScript, they are focusing more on other things that we've discussed. They are focusing more on customization, on speed of response, on all that. As you can see, they didn't do one mention of code or anything like that. Just right here, but it wasn't even code or programming or whatever it is. As you can see, no matches. Okay, so they don't really care about that right now, and it's completely understandable because we are not like we could be like, I don't know, 10% of their market, whereas the other 90% of the market have other demands. Okay. And even here, using thinking, this is not the correct thing to do. Get action strength and subtracting here the other action strength. This is not correct. Okay, so unless I've told it specifically to use get vector, won't do it. And here it is. Okay, the final code. Once again, no syntax highlight. The code is awful. Okay, not awful, but imagine if I just asked to create a 2D movement system and it doesn't do it correctly. Imagine if it was something more complex. Okay. If you really want to, I will make a specific video about GPT 5.1 in Godot. This was just a quick test to demonstrate that it's still the exact same thing or very similar to GPT-5. And well, that was all that I wanted to mention, okay? I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.